Finally, I am so excited and honored to introduce Steve. Steve Heroux is the founder, CEO, and visionary of the Sales Collective, and he is affectionately known as the Sales Contrarian. He is becoming a sought-after world-class speaker on sales and sales leadership, who challenges conventional wisdom and offers a contrarian approach to selling in today's marketplace. Beyond his impressive resume, Steve is a captivating storyteller and a gifted communicator. His team works with organizations whose leaders have enough self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and vulnerability to acknowledge they don't know everything. It's amazing. With a unique perspective on the psychology of selling, Steve inspires his audiences and clients to forget most of what they've learned and re-examine their approach to sales. And he promises to change the way you look at the world of professional selling from this day forward. That is a tall order in 15 minutes, Steve, but
well, that stuff won't happen in 15 minutes.
okay.
But.
Yep. I was going to say, I'm going to give you a chance to walk that back if you want to caveat that, but he is truly a tremendous presenter, really sought after as a Vistage and other peer group speaker. So we're thrilled to have you, Steve, and I'm going to stop sharing and turn the mic over to you.
Sounds awesome. Just coming off, everybody, a 3-hour talk I gave to Vistage Group here in Charlotte. So super excited. I oftentimes get some funny looks from people after I'm done talking, but one guy, he questioned his sanity and what he's been doing for the last 25 years. So I know that went well. And it's funny when I talk and people go, oh, what's your goal? What do you want to come out of meetings? It's to have people think that there may be a better way, not just the way we've always done things. So let's get rolling. Thanks so much for the intro, Jessica. If anybody, again, wants to connect, that's me. That's my LinkedIn. I will make sure, Jessica, you get these slides right after this so everybody can have the slide deck. You will also see Kate Norton's lovely face on the call. She is my amazing maven of EOS partnership building. She does an incredible job, so you'll get to meet her and see her very soon as well. So I want to start with this. Both Kate and I reached out to tons and tons and tons of EOSIs, and we asked them, what are Integrators' top 2 sales challenges? We got a lot of answers, but I'm going to give you the most common answers we got. These are not in any particular order, but we heard these a lot. This is from Integrators: poor sales leadership, inadequate coaching, inability to adapt, unrealistic goals that were foisted upon salespeople. I don't even want to get started on what I think about that. They can't relate to salespeople. Again, operations minded, right? Sales minded. This one too is quite funny. Salespeople don't GWC it. This is what I teach in every single Vistage meeting. I give credit to EOS. I talk about EOS. And when we talk about something called the will to sell, that is the GWCing it for a salesperson. If a salesperson does not have the will to sell, there is a 0 chance they become a top performer. That's part of our sales DNA test, which we'll talk about at the end. A couple other challenges: hiring and recruiting, can't seem to find great people, unclear metrics, no sales process. It's quite funny that we talk so much about process and what we do with EOS, and 8.5 out of 10 companies, 8.5 out of 10 do not have a sales process. It is not written, it is not documented, it is not followed, it is not role played, it is not practiced. And then the salespeople get yelled at because they're not selling stuff. Last one's poor sales training. I don't even have time to get into this. But when we're teaching people these sales methodologies that predated the moon landing, it might be something wrong. It's 2025 almost, y'all. So what we want to focus on today is the C of the GWC, and it's the thing that we can impact the most with salespeople. We cannot impact the will to sell. We cannot impact the get it and the want it. You either do or you don't, but the capacity and the skill sets are things that we can work on and help with people. I have to put this slide up, and I'm sorry, Kate, it's another sports analogy. Does anybody know who this is? Please unmute or type it in. Does anybody know this curmudgeon?
Jerry Jones,
Okay, who is he?
owner of the Cowboys.
Okay.
Alex.
This, everybody, is the example of wrong person, wrong seat.
Mhm.
This isn't just right person, wrong seat. This is wrong person, wrong seat. And this is the challenge, y'all. When you have people in a leadership role who are trying to be the sales manager, who should not be the sales manager. CEOs should not be sales manager. Integrators should not be sales manager. The best salesperson should not be the sales manager. But when you have somebody who tries to do the thing they should not be meddling in, you go 30 years without a Super Bowl. Okay, ego is a major problem, and he's the example I give if you don't have the right people in the right seat. So we're going to begin with probably the most impactful book I have ever read in my life. And this book is called The End of Average. It's written by a guy named Todd Rose. I have to thank my amazing COO, Brady. She is the one that introduced me to this. It is a life-changing book. But I want to share one story with you from the book. Back in the early 50s, the US Air Force was having serious issues, serious challenges with their pilots. They were underperforming. They were complaining about the cockpits. There was an alarming increase in accidents. And on the worst day, 17 pilots crashed. One day, 17 pilots. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong. But back in the late 20s, they did an exercise where they tested and evaluated and measured all the pilots to build a cockpit to fit the average pilot. So this is done in the late 20s. But now it's the early 50s and there are all these crashes. So they're like, what the heck is going on? The pilots didn't just forget how to fly. They didn't just get worse. So the Air Force hired a guy named Lieutenant Daniels, 25 years old, kid from Harvard. And they said, hey, we want you and your team to study the 4,000 pilots right now, 4,000 plus, in 10 different dimensions. So height, arm length, leg length, chest circumference, all those kind of things. And what we want you to do is come up with an average. What's the average pilot? So then we can build the cockpits to fit the average pilot. Here's what they found. And you can think about the number in your heads. It's hard to do in a big group like this to just ask you how many of the 4,000 pilots fit in the cockpit. I'll just make it easy for you. That's the number. 0. 0. So the pursuit of average fits nobody, not a soul. And kids today are graded on a what? Average. So anyone have one of these in their car? What's this for?
Adjusted for comfort, for what I like.
Oh. How funny, David. So it's not just locked in one position for all humans?
Yeah.
We had this discussion today in Charlotte. So the Vistage chair, if you know this guy, Matt Doherty, he actually played at North Carolina with Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan's teammate, 1982. So he's 6'8". So there was another gal who was in the group as a visitor. She's 5'1". So I asked them, what do you think would happen if you all switched vehicles and you couldn't change anything? Can't adjust the steering wheel, can't adjust the seat, can't adjust the temperature controls, can't adjust the mirrors. Would their safety and their ability to drive, would it increase or decrease? And I think we know the answer. And this is what happens, y'all. If you teach one magic sales system from 60 years ago to people, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit anybody, let alone 10% or 20% or 0%. And so the idea behind what we do and what we teach is very simple. It's creating a custom learning path. Now, there's something, y'all, called the pathway to success. And I know many of you probably understand this, but there is no one path to success for anybody in any aspect of life. Not for babies walking, not for learning, not for playing guitar, and especially not for addiction. And addiction is something that's near and dear to my heart. My dad is 42 years sober this year. And some of you know, because you've dealt with drug and alcohol abuse personally or in your families, there is no one method. Oh, you just go to rehab for 2 weeks. Is that what it is for everybody? No. Well, you just need an intervention. Do those work for everybody? No. Can some people quit drugs and alcohol cold turkey? Yes. Do some people need rehab? Yes. Do some people need to go to rehab 5 times? Yes. There is no one magic path. And when you train people, I don't care what it is, doesn't have to be sales, on one magic way for all, you are teaching nobody. It is really important, but this is not the stuff that's been done for 100 years. So many of y'all have kids, and there are 2 things I am completely unqualified to give advice about. I'm barely qualified to do this. I'm a guy from Boston with a clicker. One is parenting. The second is marriage. So I'll let y'all answer this. So babies should be walking by month 12. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Why? The average baby walks by the 12th month. Parents,
That's the average, but every one of them is different. Every kid's unique.
what do parents think that's really sad if their baby's not walking by 12 months? What do they think?
Yeah, they're below average. They're not good. And
Yes, they should never, ever, ever think that.
yeah.
Ever. But they do because of this obsession with average. How about the next one, y'all? What do y'all think about this? Child should be reading by 5 years old. Fact?
Same.
How funny, David. What if a child is not reading by 6 or 7? What do the parents think?
Well, that would give you a reason to start checking. Is there something wrong? But if he's just a late bloomer, that's okay too.
Correct. This is what parents should never think.
Yeah.
It's egregious. And it happens in reverse, y'all. What if I have a little girl, she's 3 and she's awesome on piano? What do we call her?
Prodigy.
Correct. But you know that same little girl can't do math?
Mhm.
Can't do math.
Mhm.
So this idea of this one magic way of training and teaching, it's really abhorrent. And here's the worst one, and this is what we deal with every day, is this. This is just horrendous. I don't know where this came from. It's just a ridiculous premise to think that all salespeople, who, by the way, have no process, no training, no coaching, no role play, no nothing, should somehow magically get it by some arbitrary time frame. It is just an insane way to think. So my case for customized training, we only have about 5 minutes left, starts with something we call sales DNA. Many of you know assessments. There are about 2,500 of them. I won't get into which ones are whatever you want to call it, effective, predictive, or whatnot. But most assessments have about the predictive validity of you shaking up a magic 8-ball. Okay, just read their tarot cards. It's the same. Most assessments are personality based, and there is one thing that does not matter in the success of a salesperson, and it is personality. When you measure Einstein's ability to think based on whether or not he's a good fisherman, that's a problem. So that's why we use a test called Sales DNA, and it is literally the only one built for salespeople, for sales leaders, that is predictive in nature. It's not just in a title, we have the math. So what we look at, y'all, 3 different aspects. The will to sell, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, is about similar to the get it and similar to the want it. Sales DNA in the bottom left, how people think, act, behave, and believe. That's also part of the get it and want it. But the tactical skills on the right side, these are the things that we can impact the most that have to do with capacity. So what we ended up doing, and it's pretty crazy because it's just about to launch, is we built the world's first customizable, individually created training platform through AI that takes an individual sales DNA test and builds a custom learning path for that exact person. No more one size fits all. No more, hey, this is the magic sales script you should use from 1965. You have to teach people individually how to be successful. And if you don't, what exactly are you relying on? So this is the part where we share so many things with integrators, implementers, visionaries, right? Because we all want to do this blanket training. We'll just get them into this class or this system or this XYZ. but it doesn't always work. If it did always work, y'all would know this, that every company that runs on EOS rockets to success. You know that's not the case. So it's important to understand there has to be some level of customization and individualization. Even Gino says this inside of EOS. It cannot be too rigid that it's this for all people. That comes from Gino. So as we wrap up, y'all can see Kate's lovely face there. She's incredible. Some of you know her already. Some of you have met her and worked with her. If anybody wants to chat any more about what we do, please reach out to Kate. We're just so excited to be a small part in this community and do everything we can to help change the narrative of salespeople. Y'all know what the perception is. It's not great. And it's for so many of these other things we talked about today. And if we can impact that in just a little way, we're so happy to do it. So thanks y'all so much. I know we don't have a ton of time today, but I hope at least in some way it was impactful. I'm going to hang around a little bit and listen into some of these sessions. Kate is as well. But thanks so much again, Jessica and Jennifer and everybody for having us. Thanks y'all.